Good evening and welcome to Mountain Bears. I'm Aeson Knight. Of course, I'm sitting down with the Techy Cub with the mostest. Techy Joe, how are you, baby?
I'm doing well. How about you this evening?
Eh, I'm here. It's the
Hey,
first fight of
Brenda.
the year. It was intense. It was okay. The news is shit. You
Yeah,
know,
yes.
we're going to the 1930s according to every damn thing out there, and it's like, no, we're not.
No, it's the it's the French Revolution. That's technically.
Is that where we're at now? Damn. And I
We
just
shot
forgot to
right
start.
past the shot
And I
right
just
past
saw
the
guillotine on
1930s.
sale.
No, we're not getting a home guillotine.
Why not? It's great. We'll take care of the rich, we'll take care of the stupid, and then I can take care of the watermelons.
How do I say this with love? So do y'all remember Ralphie from A Christmas Story? He won't put his eye out, but I'll let you finish the rest of that sentence.
Uh-huh. Like, I think a lot of our younger people are going insane.
Okay.
Just all the, oh, what do we call it? Propaganda flying left, right, center, insanity.
I mean, it's been like like the worst. Yeah, I just won't let you have any fun. No guillotine, no flamethrower, just nothing, nothing will I let you have. I'm horrible like that. I don't know. I feel like I need to pull a line from Jer and Darcy and be like ADHA Wrangler tip.
Right.
Don't let him have a flamethrower or a guillotine.
Mm-hmm.
So fair enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. I think we've spent a lot of time in this, unprecedented times.
Right.
And it's like, it would kind of be nice if we could do something precedented and normal.
Right.
And kind of just like, yeah, it's
Right.
Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just feels like Tuesday all week long. Like we're just so relaxed.
Right.
Because yeah, I don't know how much of that is social media, how much of that is the news cycle, how much of that is the actual world events. What have you looked up now?
Nothing.
Nothing. How much is a home guillotine?
And how much would it cost to have it installed? Because
Yes.
apparently it has to be mounted, and that requires a drill through bricks. And I'm worried it'll fuck up my manicure. So anyhow,
Yeah.
yeah.
See,
But
it's not even easy to install. Like it's not a portable home gym.
no, it isn't. And of course, I don't have room for a portable home gym, or I would get one.
Exactly.
So, but maybe a Bowflex one day.
If you've got room for a Bowflex, you've got room for a guillotine. Like that's the general theory.
You're right.
And Brenda says, you could incorporate it into the pony wall. Not
Yeah, but
really.
then I have someone that might set it off. Lord knows he has set off other things.
Yes.
And if you see me doing this, it's because I'm telling someone to calm his ass down. He's getting the mother stare at church.
Like, stop it.
Mm-hmm. Although I do think I'm going to have to put him out. So I'm going to pop off. You can go ahead and start with the Gen Z section.
Oh, okay. We'll go there. So Gen Z's underground social network just went national and it's blowing up. So this comes to us from Forbes. While most social platforms are trying to become the next TikTok, one startup is building something very different. Fizz is a pseudonymous hyperlocal app born on college campuses. Until recently, it was known as a kind of private campus message board part Reddit, part group chat, but with the intimacy of a dorm hallway. No followers, no influencers, no pressure to perform, just students talking to each other anonymously or under pseudonyms about the stuff that actually makes up daily life. Dining hall food, econ finals, party rumors, roommate drama. But 5 months ago, Fizz started quietly testing something new, a cross campus product that connects students not just within their university, but across the country. The new feed layers shared identity, interest, geography, and more, all while maintaining the local anonymity that made Fizz thrive in the first place. Now the results are in. Fizz's daily active users in the new product cohort have jumped 50% in 3 weeks. Content creation has nearly doubled, engagement time has soared, and the app has grown by more than 50 campuses in just the last month, with zero marketing spend. Teddy Solomon, 23, co-founded Fizz during the pandemic after dropping out of Stanford. The app, originally conceived as a hyper-local space for students to speak freely, grew virally thanks to a flyer campaign and 1,000 donuts hand-delivered to campuses. But from day one, Solomon had a bigger vision. We always knew that once we became the dominant college app, we could offer something bigger, he says, a global experience built around the same values, shared context, identity, experience, but across schools. Why does this so sound like
Facebook?
Facebook.
Yeah.
Like, it just keeps sounding like Facebook.
Mm-hmm. How long is it going to take till he's bought out? That's my question.
I figure Meta will show up eventually and be like, look, take our money.
Yeah.
Or at least try. I mean,
yeah.
So the new version of Fizz, which rolled out to a quarter of its campuses this year, is exactly that. It uses a new personalized feed powered by a recommendation engine to surface content not just from a student's university, but from adjacent communities they naturally overlap with. If you're a Stanford student from New York, why shouldn't you see what's happening at Columbia or NYU, Solomon says. If you're at Dartmouth, you probably have a lot in common with someone at Princeton. Or if you're at UT Austin, you might care what's going on at Texas A&M. So the rest of it gets a little more granular and tells you about how it works and does kind of that. And in short, it's not an entertainment app. It truly is a social one. That's their intent. And they're moving beyond college. So, quote, we've built something that works for Gen Z more broadly, whether they went to college or not. That move is significant. Most Gen Z social platforms don't make it past the campus stage, but Fizz is already seeing demand from users who dropped out, opted out, or never enrolled in the first place. When I visit campuses with 10% graduation rates, I know that 90% of those students won't still be there in 3 years, Solomon says, but they still deserve a community. They still deserve a voice. Fizz is about to give them one. And that's one of the scariest things about colleges that I don't think, because I remember when it was like, I got to UNCG for orientation and they literally said, look to your left, look to your right, one of you only one of you will graduate. So it was like a 30, like 1/3 of you will make it.
Right.
And it was just like, holy crap.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a bigger thing when you're when you're not an in-state student and you are paying, full tuition and fees. To imagine that somewhere in this 4-year supposed 4-year journey. Mine was 5. For any of y'all struggling and 4 years isn't going to happen, sometimes it takes 5 or 6 or 7. It can take a minute. It's not easy. I get it. Don't give up. But the idea that at like $18,500, which is what it was when I started, I will never forget that number because it was the same number as a brand new car. You could buy a car or pay for a year of college.
Mm-hmm.
In 2000. That's how much it cost. I know it's astronomically more now. That's how old I am. But it was $18,500, and so I'm already doing the math very quickly, realizing that I could do a semester and this just be it. I could do a year or 2 years or 3 years or 4 years or anywhere along this process.
Mm-hmm.
Like this may not come to fruition. And like I feel like that should have been a conversation when I was filling out all those stupid goddamn student loan applications.
Well, I think this needs to be a larger conversation because if your product is only being successfully bought 10% of the time and 90% of your buyers are leaving the situation, there's an issue.
Yeah, anywhere between like they start and flunk out their first semester, or they go all the way to the end, and then something happens. Right. Either they don't have enough credits to graduate, they took the wrong class, so they don't have enough credits to graduate. They fail a class that last semester and they need it to graduate. Like any of these things can occur. And like sitting there with that knowledge and understanding in that orientation is like, now a warning.
Yeah,
you who like Death Becomes Her knows that line, but it's what it feels like is like now a warning. Like I just signed on the dotted line for this experience, and you're telling me I could literally take out loans for the next year, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever I think it's going to take. Or it ends up taking, and I'm literally can like just be throwing that money out a window.
Yeah.
That fundamental, like, and I don't know why we don't talk about that. I mean, it's one of those things. Like, I don't care how smart you are, when you start putting it in those terms, and you're just kind of like 66.666 repeating, will not graduate. You will not leave here with a degree. You start wondering, am I 1 in 3?
Yeah.
Or in terms of like these numbers, 1 in 10?
Right.
1 in 10? I have to be 1 in 10 to graduate.
Well, when I went in for my master's, they literally told us that 1 out of 20 would actually complete it. The rest of you will be useless.
And again, I think that's a real challenge to the idea of like, I don't mean to be like, what are we paying for? And I know that it's to the individual, but don't you think there's a problem?
I think there's a high problem.
You know what I mean?
I think that part of the problem is we're pushing people into college that shouldn't go, doesn't want to go, has fucking zero interest in a career that they're going into. I also, and I know people hate when I say this, there are too many literal arts degrees.
Although I will say, I just looked it up, the current graduation rate at the University of North Carolina at Greensboro, UNCG, hello, is 57.9% for 2023-2024.
Right.
So it's gotten better, but I remember that. I sincerely remember, look to your left, look to your right, only one of you will graduate.
Right.
And having that sinking realization of, what the fuck did I just do? You know what I mean? Like, for the in-state students, I guess it's a little bit easier to take the hit of like, well, because the rate for in-state students was so much lower.
Right.
That like looking at it though from an out-of-state student perspective, like, oh my god.
Right.
Like I just like literally had this whole moment of like, I just fucked up.
Right.
Like I'm in a trap.
Right.
This is a trap.
Part of it is Right. WVU is at 61%, which they're the ones that bought my college. My college no longer exists. Matter of fact, none of the schools I went to exist.
Like your schools don't exist.
My bars don't exist. Like my history now is a history book or an
Like,
item in the history book.
you really are a beta, baby.
I know, right?
Like you just for like Betamax versus VHS, like it was like every choice you made was Betamax.
Yeah.
Like no one knows what that is anymore. Like you went where?
Yeah.
You did what? What bar? Who?
Yeah.
Just
like
little erasure line right behind everything you did.
exactly. It's really weird, like I think it was like 2 months ago we went riding around. I went riding around and it's like some of the houses I grew up in are no longer there. And I'm like, okay, have I just been transplanted into a different time period?
I can understand that feeling. Granted, the house I grew up in was knocked over,
Mm-hmm.
but we were more upset we didn't get to go watch that because we were ready.
Yeah.
Like I know for most people that sounds atrocious because you'd be like, my childhood home was knocked down. It's just so sad. No, we wanted to like it could only have gotten better if it were built on an ancient Indian burial ground and it did collapse into itself.
Right.
That would have been better.
Probably.
That's the only way it could have gotten better.
Right. Well, let's see. Grandma's house is now a raftage community. The farm, well, we won't discuss the farm.
It does exist.
It does exist by a hair. I think the cherry I-beam of the house is the thing that holds the house together. Anything else is just fitter fodder.
So vampires outlive their original lives, LOL.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I'm outliving my original life in so many times. The palace is a parking lot. The Broadway is a parking lot. Trax is a drugstore, which is fucking weird to think about. So many things there are like cliche to hell and back. Warehouse 29, we looked it up. It is like some Palms bar. The bar I owned in North Carolina is gone.
Yeah, the bars and clubs in North Carolina change names.
Mm-hmm.
They get bought and sold, and then some of them get torn down. And like that is one of the things with Greensboro is there's not a lot of in between.
Right.
And in Greensboro specifically, there's not a lot of in between in Greensboro. It's either older than dirt, or it'll be a strip mall, and then it'll be 5 other things in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Like there's no in between. It's sort of like it's the O. Henry Hotel, and it is a fucking institutional landmark. Or where, when? Oh, that's a baseball stadium now. Oh wait, we tore down the baseball stadium. Now it's this, and like good luck, like trying to keep up. Like Greensboro will, for the things that they knock down, they'll just keep doing it. Like it'll just keep being reused. Like they will recycle that patch of property. Like, but for the things they declare a landmark, holy crap, you're never touching it.
True.
Like,
and
don't look at
like,
it sideways.
We need to look at that because like Sheetz apparently took out the restaurant. It took out my bar in West Virginia and North Carolina.
Yeah, Sheetz expanded a lot. But no, I mean it's the realities of how that ends up working out, and it's kind of frustrating.
Oh,
like
it's
it is
very
sincerely frustrating. Because well, and it's the same thing with my college campus. Like it wasn't but like 3 or 4 years after I graduated that I tried to drive back through the campus, and it's like it is so friggin' different.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like now it's gonna be like I don't know where the hell I am. Like all my landmarks are missing. Not because they necessarily tear buildings down, but like they're continuously doing stuff.
Right.
Not to mention like the apparently moving a building on that campus is not that big a deal.
No, it's pick it up and move it.
Which kind of horrifies me because I mean, holy crap.
Right.
Like some of these buildings are from the 1800s and it's like you just picked it up and moved it.
Right.
You just picked it up and moved it. What?
Right.
Like, I'm sorry, what? Is this a trailer park?
Right.
Like, what the hell are y'all doing?
Right.
But anyhow. So colleges are fun. Social networks are fun. I am glad that Gen Z is getting that like early days of Facebook / early days of Gmail experience.
I know. Like I remember, like my Gmail account, you had to be invited.
Early Gmail accounts, you couldn't just go create one. You had to be invited. Early Facebook accounts, you had to have a .edu. Nothing else would do but a .edu. And that actually created problems because you had a few schools that didn't use .edu. So there was like a whole uproar in of college students who couldn't get accounts because they didn't have a .edu email address from their college.
Right.
At the same time, we were all, because guys, like, I know y'all think like 2 gigabyte email accounts are anemic now. I know I do. Back in the day, we had like 10, 20 megabytes for an email account. And believe me, it was anemic. Like you couldn't hold anything in it. And these were our college accounts. Not to mention these servers were filling up and they were cutting them left and right. Like the minute you leave the school, I hope you backed up your email because bye-bye.
Right.
Like you don't get to keep that unless you become an alumni donor and you spend a crap ton of money with us. And then as a perk and feature, at least back then. So we were all trying to do this thing at the same time. Like Facebook was coming out. Most of us were trying to get Gmail accounts so we could have a real email experience because it offered so much more storage way back in the day. Like I think it was like 5 gigabytes and we were all just like, oh! Like, I will never need another email account. It'll hold everything forever. That quickly, but it was Bill Gates. 640K is enough for anyone. But no, like we were having this whole moment, and people were struggling to like get a Facebook account, and then it all went mainstream on us, and then your mom had a Facebook account, and we all groaned, and then our grandmas got a Facebook account, and we went, oh God, this is a nightmare. We did. Every single one of us did. Don't pretend like we didn't. We totally did. Like,
well, I set mom up on email thinking that it will never be a thing.
Well, email, yeah, but Facebook?
Yeah, I set her up on Facebook. I thought, this will be cute. She'll go in and play some games. The woman is taking over Facebook. She has learned to tag.
Stalk you on Facebook and then just like make the mom comments like, I really don't think you ought to be doing that.
Right.
Like that was the cringe of our generation was just
she learned probably in 3 months into my 18th year telling me I don't think you should be doing that. Bar the doors.
Yeah, bad idea. Yeah. All right, fair enough. But no, I just like I totally get it. I don't want a fizz account. I'm happy to let Gen Z have it. I hope the rest of
Mm-hmm.
like Gen X and millennials will just like let the children have their social. Don't go
Me.
create an account.
Yeah.
Please don't go create an account. Just let them have it. Like,
See, and
because that was one of the
right,
weird things for us, because it was also encountering some of like the end of the 90s,
right.
like when we were all kind of like this weird little group of people
Mm-hmm.
that were online, and like online dating was the scary,
Right,
horrible concept, and on and on and on and on and on,
right,
only to realize that most of the people that you were online with were just as nerdy as you were.
right,
But that was kind of the early 2000s were the death of that,
right,
and you suddenly had all these random people online
right.
that like because AOL discs were prolific,
Mm-hmm.
and computers got cheaper and everything got easier and everyone's grandma got online,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden it was just like like invasion. It was just in,
Mm-hmm. Right.
and it was so weird. It was so weird. And I think that was one of the things that fucked up Facebook the most.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably going to be the most generational cohort grouping,
Mm-hmm.
that like this kind of singularity, and then like now everyone's mom and cousin and brother and whatever
Mm-hmm.
invaded it, and it was kind of like,
Mm-hmm.
and then it became what it is today, which is a giant soul sucking money trap. Sorry, but it is.
It is. There is a lot of things that go on in Facebook. It has to be handled in only Facebook, and
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I mean, this was never what, and my whole
right,
point being, this was never what it was meant to be. Much
right,
like Fizz is talking about, that's what it was supposed to have been.
right,
It was legitimately meant,
right,
to help us within our own cohort,
right.
of our own like generational age grouping, plus or minus a few years, to kind of create this thing, and then it just expanded and expanded and expanded and
Mm-hmm.
expanded and expanded, and
Right.
Jesus effing Christ, now it's you can't not have a Facebook account.
Yeah. And that's been the weird thing of having to explain to like businesses and advisors that like, no, you've got to have a Facebook account. This is no longer optional. Here,
I'm sorry,
this
there's
is
just too
why.
many people there. It's too
Yes.
fucking easy.
Yeah.
Like, shoot fish in a barrel all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I hate to put it in those terms, but it's like, if you want to get in front of the most eyeballs you possibly can, you need a Facebook account.
Right.
Like,
And it's like,
yeah,
there's nothing else to say. It's just how it is.
yeah.
Um, and it's like having yellow pages back in the day.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually, but it's sadly starting to feel like the Yellow Pages.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like that's all that it really is you're just seeing one ad after the next ad after the
Mm-hmm.
next ad, because the content that gets generated there is fundamentally an ad for something.
Right. Right.
If it's not an ad for a product, if it's not an ad for a service, it's an ad for a content creator so that you will come buy their products and services.
Mm-hmm.
I I mean, it's what we're doing. It's how we've ultimately ended up using it. And I
Right.
hate that we missed that experience of being able to be like real.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sorry, people on Facebook are fake as fuck.
Well,
Like,
and I've had that
and that's the game you have to
conversation.
play. It's the
Right.
game
Well,
you have to play.
it is, but I've had that conversation with them, with
Mhm.
a few people, and it's like, you're too adsy. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, where is your personalized content?
Well, yeah, we're trying to all straddle this line of like
Right.
authentic but professional.
Right.
Like, on one hand, be your authentic self,
Right.
but also keep it clean for professional audience.
Right.
and this is a weird place to have to live. It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
this like 1950s plastic on the couch cushions kind of thing
Mm-hmm.
of like, but it's not really real.
Right.
I mean, it is, but it's very like hemmed in.
Right. And very like all over the place.
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and especially the way we've grown to accept and reject people and how they interact with social media.
Right.
Like
But
there are I mean, and the weird part though is realizing that like what they're doing is exactly what it was intended for.
right.
This was the whole point, and like they never deviated. But you're
Mm-hmm.
over here with the rest of everyone else going, yeah, we don't really do that here.
Yeah.
Like, we know what it is. We know why you're
Mm-hmm.
doing it. We don't really do that here.
Yeah.
Like, I
And,
can't be connected to you in this scenario.
mm-hmm.
And it's like,
And the
ew,
number,
ew.
like the number of times things have been said. What I mean by said is like companies have made decisions about your social from your social media. Your jobs are made by the social media decision. Um, and I'm not talking about hundreds of thousands of followers. Like when we went with Impact, they literally looked at at our social media and said, "Yeah, we can work with you."
Mhm.
And I know one other influencer applied, and they're like, "Nope, we can't work with you." And it's
Did they get a little more feedback than that? Like, go clean this up? Like, what the hell are you doing? Or was
well,
it just like, no?
well, no. I feel from what I heard, and granted, this is secondhand information. There was no personality. It was cookie box advisor, and it's like, no, we don't do that here.
Yeah. Well, and again, trying to because ultimately what we're trying to do is synthesize
Right,
this kind of perfect but real,
right,
and it's kind of
yeah.
I
It
mean
is like,
it's
are you
crunchy to
kidding
try to
me?
be there.
Right.
It's
It's
crunchy to try to be there.
mhm,
It and it's not really real, and it's not really
mhm,
perfect.
right,
It's just this almost dreamcore kind of moment,
right.
but it's I don't know, it's weird lighting.
It is. It's weird lighting. It's knowing your audience, knowing what you're doing, but it takes a good bit to build the brand, to build the like, and you've got to be on top of things, and you can't be doing stupid shit. You just can't.
Well, no, you like, and it kind of goes back and forth on the
Hmm.
realities of, but that's sort of where we all that was the meeting place we needed,
Right.
was the I fucked up my life, help,
Hmm.
community of support, and instead what we got was the yellow pages that you
Hmm.
have to make sure your hair looks good,
Hmm.
and but not too good, and clean up your life but not too clean.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's a tightrope. Like,
It is.
it's this Goldilocks zone tightrope we're all expected to walk.
Hmm.
And I don't know, are we really having real conversation there anymore?
I think some of us are. I think some of us are not. I think some of us are giving the appearance of the perfect life. Um, and that doesn't work anymore. Because it isn't a perfect life. It isn't a perfect world.
Yeah, you can't
We
go too.
aren't always on time. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
All righty.
Alrighty. So let's move into Beyonce's birth certificate is revealing details about her birth chart.
Yeah, so from people, Beyonce just released her birth certificate, and this one detail has fans in a frenzy. Aries or Libra rising, Beyonce's birth time is setting the astrology world on fire. So,
Mm-hmm.
Houston, we have a situation after Beyonce released her birth certificate in her Cowboy Carter tour book, according to screenshots from fans. New information has come to light about her birth chart, which has fans in a tizzy. If you're into astrology, then you're no stranger to the importance of having an exact birth time. It's the holy grail for understanding your astrological makeup, revealing the celestial placement and degree of your rising sign, the key to how you present yourself to the world. For stargazers all over the world, now that we're living in a time where the cosmos is having its moment, thanks to the rise of zodiac memes and viral astrology TikToks, these hours and minutes hold tremendous power. Your time of birth is equivalent to a secret code that unlocks a deeper understanding of yourself and the mark you're meant to leave in the world. Can we pause for a second?
Sure.
Generally speaking, fundamentally, we're really only concerned with which third of the day. The problem being, if that time is too close
Mm-hmm.
or dead on, how accurate is it?
Right.
That's your fundamental thing with doing astrology charts.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the difference of a few minutes, generally speaking, doesn't make a huge difference unless you're shifting from morning to midday to evening.
Right. Tonight.
Well, yeah, but within that context, it
Mm-hmm.
otherwise not that big a
Right.
deal.
Right.
Like a few minutes here or there isn't gonna, 9:36 a.m. and 9:37 a.m. Not a big deal.
Not a big deal.
Yeah.
Not a big deal at
Anyway.
all. So anyway.
All right. So when Beyonce's recently released birth certificate included a birth time, fans were shocked to learn her true rising sign was Aries. For
Mm-hmm.
years, fans believed Beyonce was a Libra rising, a zodiac sign that's associated with balance, beauty, and harmony, which, let's be honest, totally tracks. Libras are ruled by Venus, and Beyonce isn't just a pop culture icon, she's a goddess queen.
Mm-hmm.
Venusian energy is also known for its artistic expression, which, let's face it, is undeniable when it comes to Beyonce. From her music to her fashion, the 43-year-old singer embodies creativity, elegance, and charm in ways that only a true Venusian could. She was, after all, born with a Libra stellium, Mercury, Saturn, Jupiter. Mercury, Saturn, Jupiter, Venus, and Pluto. However, learning that she's actually an Aries rising flips her birth chart horizontally, but when you look closely, it all starts to make sense. Aries, ruled by Mars, is bold, fearless, and unapologetically assertive, the polar opposite of the diplomatic and graceful Libra. Still, in many ways, this pop culture revelation resonates perfectly with the Lemonade singer's public persona. Think about it, she's never shied away from taking risks and continues to set trends that are as fierce and pioneering as the Aries archetype. She's also used her musical platform to seek justice on behalf of her community. So Beyonce's energy has always radiated the passionate, headstrong spirit of this fire sign, whether in her performances or her fearless business ventures. What's even more fascinating is that this revelation comes at the peak of her Cowboy Carter era, which is undeniably Marsy. Meanwhile, fans are taking to Twitter to share their perspectives. Some are baffled, some are thrilled, and others are finding new meaning in their favorite Queen Bey moments. Just found out, it's been revealed, Beyonce is an Aries rising, Sun in the sixth house, Moon in the eighth, and a seventh house Libra stellium, plus Leo Mars in the fifth. Why is it all coming together? Said one fan on Twitter. Beyonce's chart is killing me, said another fan. With this astro drama, fans are rethinking everything they thought they knew about her astrological chart. One thing's for sure, whether you're team Sasha Fierce, Aries rising, or Love on Top, Libra rising, Beyonce's magic is far beyond her birth chart.
It is. It's far beyond her birth chart, but it's evident. Like, I do not get where someone thought, with her work ethic alone, that she was Libra. Like, no. That's an Aries work life.
How much difference, though, does it? Because we're like, this is a rising sign.
Mm-hmm.
How much of an actual overall difference does it make between two charts? Exact same information, almost, except one set of information makes it Libra rising, one set of information makes it Aries rising. How different are those two people? Like,
very
are we
different.
talking about like a like I'm kind of a percentages person.
Mac laptop versus Samsung tablet.
Okay. It's, I mean, you know, like we're still in the same realm of device.
Right.
They have some similar features and uses. Just a little bit of difference. So what are we at? Like 10%? 5%?
No, about 50.
Seriously? On a rising sign?
Your rising sign is your activation. It is the connection. It is how you're going to be moving.
Okay.
Looking at Beyonce, she moves like an Aries. She acts like an Aries. She works like an Aries. Her ideas are like an Aries. She's very Aries energy. Very much like, I'm here, I'm doing this, and look at my life schedule, okay? Hello, I'm a double Aries. That means I'm Aries Sun and Aries Rising. I have more irons in the fire than God. I am more at creative activity than God, and I'm moving. Whereas a Libra would be more like, oh, I need balance. I need personal time. I need, to take tomorrow off. I need to make sure that there's flowers in every vase that is purple and pink.
Okay. All right.
Oh, still, I need to grab something. Oh. So, yeah, a pop star going and doing sing country. You thought she was a Libra? Feel the shade of the heat.
Okay. But no, I mean, is this really a thing though for
It's really a thing, honey.
Well, what I was going to ask was if it was really a thing that we get this involved in celebrity star charts without the actual data to run them properly. Like, how did this happen is more where I'm at. Like, is this just everyone rushes and jumps to be the first one to, like, oh, here's the astrological chart for this celebrity based on some like cold information that we got from wherever, or that we like assumed and threw together and slapped a noon on it and went, well, it'll be close.
Well, one, I'm probably thinking of some idiot done some reconstructional astrology, which you can do. And it's not an exact science. The other part of it is not having probably the proper information.
Which I can understand. Some people are a little sensitive about it, as they should be. Like their birth information, their birth chart, and all not their birth chart, but their birth certificates.
Yeah.
The location where they were born. I mean, some of this can easily get misused.
Right.
I can understand not wanting to just be like, here's my birth certificate, with all the information. Like, hi, that's a lot.
Right.
to ask of anyone. So one, being able to trust someone with that information, kind of important. But I'm just wondering, like, how did the mistake occur? Was it like she gave someone the wrong information eons ago, and like,
Um,
oh shit? Or is it, because I mean, there are people, like, not everyone knows exactly what time they were born when they were born.
but
And inevitably.
for this great of a change,
Hmm.
I would assume that they gave the wrong location.
Ooh, so it's
It's
not even.
not.
So the article's making it about the time and has more to do with location.
Yes, time is important. It's going to give you some mutable facts about your Venus, your Mars, your Mercury. If we can get it within that 4 hour, like, oh, I think that I was born in the early morning hours, 7 a.m. That sounds early. Yeah, 7 a.m. I was born at 7 a.m. That's going to give you a little malleable changes, nothing this severe. Location, however, like she was born, they thought she was born in LA, but actually she was born on vacation while they were visiting the grandmother in Texas. That's going to
Well, but
move a lot of geology stuff.
you could also get the same change if you're off by like 8 hours.
Yeah.
Like if she was born at like 2 o'clock in the morning and someone
Mm-hmm.
plugged in noon,
Mm-hmm.
well, that's going to be a different chart. And it is
Right.
very much like crossing
Yeah.
that kind of distance.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, and it does cause a lot of changes in the chart.
Okay. So you were talking a little bit about reconstructionists,
Right.
which is normally something you do if someone's like, my birth certificate just says day.
Right.
I was adopted. I was immediately put into the system. I have no original paperwork, or the original paperwork I does not have a time.
Mm-hmm. Right. Then you do what's called astrology reconstructionist, and that's when you make educated guesses about things, i.e., looking at Beyonce. She knows her. We know where she was born. We know the day she was born. Okay, well, she has a lot of charisma. Okay, that's a possible Venus. She has a lot of creativity. That's a Venus planet. Her mother
Like
makes comments about the day and how bright and warm and shiny it was the day she was born. Okay, then let's try to put that at noon. And then, okay, and then you're like, okay, does this chart fit you? No, it doesn't. Okay, let's back it up. And it's like 7 to 10 charts. You get to the one that feels and expresses correctly.
okay.
And like
Now, do you think that sometimes that can be a big issue, like when someone's earlier in their career and they're kind of like they because I mean Beyonce now,
mm-hmm.
but like back up 20 years,
Right.
like
Yeah.
those are kind of different people.
Right.
And the environment, because I think she's been in the music industry at least 20 years, right?
Right.
Like I'm thinking it's at least um career. So I mean, get past all the early days stuff. Oh yeah, no. So yeah, a little bit longer than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, signed the group in 95, 96,
Right.
somewhere in there. Yeah, that was their
Mm-hmm.
debut album. So technically 97 to 97 was Destiny's Child for Beyonce.
Right. Yeah.
Do you think Beyonce Destiny's Child version and the contract she was under and the pressure to conform and be part of this
Mm-hmm.
group and
Yeah.
the very limiting structure, which we have since tried everything to abolish,
Right.
that was creating, like manufacturing pop groups during that time period, the late
Right.
90s, the early 2000s. Do you feel like that Beyonce could have fit the chart
Yes.
without the appropriate information? And then, okay, she's out of this. She's
Yeah.
her own self. She's getting to do her own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when someone's like, what the hell is up with this chart?
Yeah.
Because they don't look like her.
Right.
We
And
need information.
right. And they would have done, and again, that's more portrayal. And trying to, you're working out that you're backfilling that system, meaning you're taking the information we currently have and moving it to what you think it is, and then looking at it and see if it lines up with everything else.
Mm-hmm.
It can be complicated, it can be, and it's within like microcosm houses.
I mean, that was kind of like my interpretation there is, and does that make like, do you find that like Reconstructionist astrology, is it easier as people get older? So like if you're dealing with someone in their 60s and 70s,
Right.
is that easier than someone in their like late teens, early 20s?
Yeah, very much so.
Okay.
Very much so. And you have more informational sources to pull from. People are going to run their beaks more in gossip columns. They had, like, if you are a 20-year-old, you can go ask your mom, so when was I born? Like, what time of day?
Well, and that is sometimes a big problem that we have,
right?
Or that we run into, is that the younger you are, the more likely mom has your birth certificate.
Right.
And you may or may not have ever seen it.
Right.
You kind of remember the story.
Right.
Like, oh, we rushed to the hospital. It was the middle of the night.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that gives the wrong impression about when you were born.
Mm-hmm.
Is like, oh, well, if you rush to the hospital in the middle of the night, I must have been born at like, 5, 6 in the morning. And it's like, oh, bless your heart.
Right.
Bless your heart if you think
right.
That's how that works.
Yeah.
You could have been, rushed to the hospital in the middle of the night. And
Mm-hmm.
then 3 days later in the afternoon,
mm-hmm.
that's when you were born.
Yeah.
So, like, trying to yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, really? And trying to work it out, like, maybe the birth, how long were you in labor? Like, what if you, like, work this stuff out now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When you have the resources, children, younger ones, where you have the resources of the older people. And it is talking to everyone, because everyone remembers something different that leads to that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and again, like you were using the example of someone's talking about, what a pretty day it was.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you might think that like this was the beginning of the day, when really they're talking about, well, it was such a beautiful day, and then I went into labor, and at like 9:15 p.m.
Right.
It was a pretty day.
Mm-hmm.
It was a pretty day. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean what you think.
Right.
So yeah, all of that is very important. If you're going to spend the money to get an astrology chart, please do your best.
Yeah.
Try to line that information up, because as we're kind of seeing here, no, it makes massive differences.
Mm-hmm. It makes a lot of differences. It makes a lot of situations of like, huh? What? Where?
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm going to say this: do not use people's astrology charts to manipulate, because you may get things wrong. Like, they are like business. I'm sure someone has approached her with a business proposition, and most of the business proposition was pretty, 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 and she looked at him and went, "No, thank you."
Oh yeah, so Shannon's pointing out, I was born at 2:19 a.m. LOL, I was middle of the night. In the 80s, your mom would get a birth certificate that had your name, sex, weight, length, and time of birth. Then you got the official one in the mail later. That's the only reason I knew my time of birth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, technically, depending upon where, some of those do also have all the same information. And sometimes like what Shannon's talking about, and I don't know, do they even do these anymore? The footy birth certificate? Did we move past the footy birth certificate? Has your little footprints on the back? It's
possible.
Totally not valid for identification. Side note: if you have a footy birth certificate in this climate, you need to be calling a courthouse.
Yes.
If you see your little footy prints, you need to call your county courthouse where you were born and get the official one. Because footies are not allowed. That's not identification. Not anymore.
Yeah. Thank you, 9/11 Patriot Act.
I mean, I don't know who needs to hear this. I don't even know if that's still a thing. Like, do they still do those in the hospital?
Yeah.
Like, or are we actually?
I think they still do.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things. I hadn't even thought to ask anyone if they still did footies. Oh, they don't.
Really?
I had to request one for my kids. Oh, wow. Oh, that may be that they don't do the birth certificate though.
Right.
There's an official certificate of birth, which is a state vital statistic, and then there's the commemorative birth certificate that hospitals used to walk you out the door with. That, like, here's your certificate of birth, and it had little baby footy prints, and it was adorable. And you know, your mom used it in the 80s, the 70s, whenever this all started, as your, like, it was a birth certificate.
Right.
Like, most people took it.
Yeah.
Until like 9/11 occurred, and then it's like, oh no, we need the official state vital statistics copy, which is hideous. No one frames that.
Right.
Oh yeah, you can't always go by the birth certificate either for location. That's true.
Right.
Like, that is also a moment in which you do need to know the specifics of your birth. Because if you got driven like a county over or flown to like a children's hospital after some traumatic birth situation, that could be a significant change in location. That, like, your certificate was issued there.
Right.
But that's not really what happened.
Yeah. And that's not
the
really
location
where
of this
it's meant to
notifying
be.
authority. Yeah.
Right.
So it does, like, again, it is one of the bigger traumas and problems, especially for people who are adopted, people who are, pulled into the foster system, people who go through substance abuse and, like, lose records and contact with families, people in prison who may lose family members while they're there, and may not have, because typically part of the realities of going to prison are that people go when they're younger, and then you come out and your parents are in their 50s and 60s if they're still here.
Right.
Like, it's not always a happy reunion. Sometimes it's, two gravestones and, maybe someone saved a box of your crap. If
If
you're
that.
lucky. If you're lucky. Otherwise, it's a whole process, and it's actually, again, like when we have had Donna on from Appalachian Pagan Ministries. It is one of the nightmare experiences that people being released from prison go through is the fact that, like, everything's gone for a lot of former inmates. They're coming out with nothing. No valid identification. They need their birth certificate. They don't have a social security card. They don't have, like, you go on down the list. There's nothing. They have to go back and go through this whole nightmare process that's typically contingent on you at least have one of these.
Right.
And if you have none of these,
there's a stone wall.
Yeah. Coupled with the reality of, and then some of the documents used in lieu, like, okay, you lost that, we'll produce a utility bill. Produce this. And it's like, I just came out of prison. I haven't paid a utility in 5, 10, 15, 20 years.
Right.
What part of this don't you understand?
Right.
But I can't set up a utility
right.
until I can set up a bank account to pay the utility.
Right.
Which I can't set up a bank account until I can prove my identity, and I can't prove my identity because I don't have identifying documents to get the identifying documents that I need.
Right.
So yeah, it's like an endless loop. So yeah. Yeah.
And it gets to be a complicated endless loop that's insane.
I like, and maybe I'm the weirdo, but I really, really think that if prisons are gonna have to hold some of your stuff anyway,
right?
Like, whatever you wear into prison goes into a bag, onto a shelf, and gets stored until your release. I don't understand why we cannot make a federal law that requires every inmate have their documents stored.
Right.
Like, put them in a safe container so that this isn't a problem when they get out. Right. No, they're not going to have a valid driver's license. That's going to expire. But they have all the documents to get valid identification and or replace their driver's license. Yeah. They have all the documents they need to open a bank account, do the, like, how is this not?
Well, they don't care. It's the same thing about them being, against abortion, but also against food stamps.
Well, yeah, but I mean, fine if you want to go into don't care mode because you're no longer recognizing someone as human because they're quote unquote property of the state, which is technically what they are. It's one of the horrible realizations. Like, I'm sorry, I think this is like abusing property of the state.
Yeah.
Keep their documents safe. If they are returned to the outside world, some of this stuff is going to be a nightmare.
Right.
And is a nightmare for people.
Right.
And it's like, what do you want someone that can't get a job because they can't do the paperwork? They can't get a permanent, like, you're just basically throwing them off the deep end and going, good luck. Like, you figure it out with no resources and no ability to get resources, how to make this all happen.
Right.
Like, that's ridiculous.
It is.
It very much sounds like once an inmate, always an inmate. Like, we're gonna make it to where you can't.
Right.
Like,
and I think that causes repeatism. I really do.
Oh! Hawaii started doing that for inmates getting released and the homeless. Thank you. Go Hawaii.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's insane.
Oh, even better. So Shannon's pointing out there's it's even more involved. If nothing else, they should get a state issued ID. Like you getting out of jail, stand here, get your new ID at the other desk. Like you're just going window to window. Yeah. Like, hi, stop trying to make people fail even harder.
Yeah.
Like, I get it's a for-profit prison system, but god damn.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, that's way off topic for where we started with Beyonce's chart, but it is related. It's all kind of interrelated. It is like how little people technically have a grasp on their identifying documentation and birth certificates and social security cards, identifying documents that and the importance of those and the information on them. That it's not all astrology charts, which are great. It's also like, no, this is really important.
Yeah, very important. All right, let's go to break, and then when we come back, we'll find out if you're the ass.
All right.
Love diving into metaphysical topics, psychic insights, and lively discussions? Now you can help keep the conversation going. By becoming a Patreon supporter of The Psychic Coffee Shop, you'll gain access to exclusive content, behind-the-scenes insights, and special perks just for our patrons. Join our community and ensure that your favorite psychic show continues to thrive. Your support helps us bring more enlightening episodes, special guests, and deep dives into the world of the unseen. Become a patron today and enjoy a cup of wisdom with us every week. Click the link to join the baristas and unlock exclusive content. Thank you for your support.
Unlock your full potential with Aeson Knight's life coaching. Are you ready to take control of your life and manifest the future you deserve? Aeson Knight, a seasoned life coach and master psychic, is here to guide you on a transformative journey. Whether you're navigating personal challenges, career transitions, or seeking spiritual growth, Aeson's life coaching services offer tailored guidance to help you achieve your goals. With Aeson by your side, you'll discover the tools to overcome obstacles, embrace your true self, and create a life filled with purpose and fulfillment. His unique blend of spiritual insight and practical coaching empowers you to turn your dreams into reality. Ready to make a change? Book your session today and start your journey to a more empowered, balanced, and joyful life with Aeson Knight. Click the link to schedule your first session and step into your power.
Are you ready for an electrifying podcast experience that keeps you coming back for more? Join Aeson Knight every week as he takes you on a journey through captivating shows, each exploring unique and fascinating topics. And here's the best part. By subscribing, you'll never miss an episode where you can get your burning questions answered live on air, absolutely free. Whether it's relationship advice, career guidance, or mystical insights, Aeson's podcasts have got you covered. When you subscribe, you become part of a vibrant community, engaging directly with Aeson as he shares his wisdom and leaves you feeling empowered and enlightened. Don't miss out. Subscribe now and be part of the conversation. What you'll get by subscribing: Monday 5 p.m. Metaphysics. Today, soulful conversations with Aeson Knight and Firefly, exploring the essence of metaphysics in today's world. Tuesday 8 p.m. The Psychic Coffee Shop. Dive into current events with a psychic twist, featuring special guests and thought-provoking discussions. Friday 9 p.m. The Mountain Bears Podcast. Lively discussions from a gayish, techy-ish, bearish perspective with Aeson and Joe. Sunday 5 p.m. Psychic That Plans. Get a weekly tarot energy overview and time management tips from Aeson Knight. Click here to subscribe now and never miss an episode. By subscribing, you're not just tuning in, you're joining a community of curious minds and ensuring you're always in the loop with Aeson's insightful and interactive shows. Don't wait. Hit that subscribe button and get ready for an amazing podcast journey.
Ready for an enchanting journey of self-discovery? Join Lord Aeson Knight in our Wicca courses. Unveil the secrets of Wicca. Explore deity relationships, rituals, and more. As a third-degree high priest, Aeson Knight guides you toward empowerment and enlightenment. Enroll today and take your first step into the magical circle. Click the link to begin your journey.
Psychic Saturday. Get 50% off with Aeson Knight every third Saturday of the month. Don't miss out. Book now.
All right, welcome back. Yes, we took a longer break, hoping someone will settle in his kennel. Yes, this is a new factor of me having the office back here. All right, so find out if you're the asshole, shall we?
All right, am I the asshole choosing my disabled partner over my dying parent? This is a throwaway account because my normal account is very easy to find by all parties in my question. So I lost my job back in October for a crippling leg injury. Couldn't walk for 2 months. My spouse of 4 years is disabled and can barely care for themselves. I do everything. I help them into bed, I clean them after the bathroom, I do sponge baths, prepare every meal, and sometimes even hand wash their clothes in the event of accidents. I've been estranged from my family after a less than stellar childhood. I haven't seen any of them in person in over 20 years. I went through knee surgery and we were desperate for help, and one parent came to my state to be with me during it. Fast forward 6 months, said parent is now dying of bone cancer, and we're still getting our life back together from our own crises. My spouse is still incapable of day-to-day survival for longer than 24 hours without me being physically there. I talked with said parent about this, and the response was to launch into a guilt trip. And they got other family members that haven't talked to me in years reaching out to extend the guilt trip. They also started blaming my spouse for their disability. Our car won't make the trip, and I don't have money for an instant plane ticket for a 12-hour visit. It hurts to know that I won't be there for them, but my spouse is a huge fall risk, and I would rather deal with one crisis than two. Am I the asshole?
No.
Look, it sounds like there's an estrangement issue and perhaps even a level of I don't want, not entirely, I don't want to, but I'm also not gonna move hell, heaven, and earth to make it happen, which it sounds like is exactly what would need to occur for this to happen. Quite frankly, I think you're not the asshole. I think you're in a horribly shitty situation, and I would hope a parent seeing everything they've seen would get it.
Right.
But it sounds like they're more, and explains the estrangement, more interested in their needs than anyone else's. Not that I think dying is not a moment where, no, it gets to be all about you.
Right.
It gets to be all about you. But at the same time, yeah, you kind of have to recognize that it's not that your child is intentionally choosing to go on vacation.
Right.
Or, whatever, sit in the garage and game than to be with you as you are dying. They're just not in a position to be there. There's explain the options and make it work.
Well, not only make it work, but give, here's the other thing with that is, what more can this person do? I mean, they are in the middle of caregiving. They don't have any backup. They just got over knee surgery. They're just now recovering. The vehicle won't make it. They don't have the price for 2 instant plane tickets because you can't leave the husband at home. You're stuck. I
don't even know if the spouse is able to travel that kind of distance.
Yeah, doesn't even sound.
You know what I mean?
There's no fill in.
Yeah, I mean the whole reason that you had to go out there was because they had zero help.
Right.
I struggle to understand how you don't understand.
Right.
Because it's all of this. I understand it's what you want.
Right.
I totally get that. That seems totally, reasonable that that's what you want.
Right.
I don't know how you fail this hard at being an adult and a parent to know that, sometimes we can't have what we want.
Right.
Because it's not possible.
Right.
That if you or someone else can figure out a way to make it happen,
Mm-hmm.
it may come down to, like, if you really want this connection, it's gonna be, a Zoom session.
Right.
It's gonna be Facebook Messenger with video,
Mm-hmm.
because that's all we got.
Right.
It kind of hits me sort of like what if we go back to the panini, the moments which I personally know people that had it happen, that like they're dealing with, two sets of parents, and like one spouse is of those parents is in the hospital, and another spouse of those parents are in the hospital, and like their spouse is sick, and it's what do you do with that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you show up for everyone?
Right.
And sometimes the reality is it's not because you love someone less, or you don't love them at all, or you never cared about them. It's, tell me how the hell I make this work.
Right.
Like, you've asked me to do the impossible.
Right.
And that's kind of how I see this here is, at least from what OP says, this is very much sounding like you're asking me to do the impossible.
Right.
Now, my add-on to that is so what, they're like 16 months, they said?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to make sure. No, 6 months. 6 months.
Right.
Still 6 months after all of this. I think you have to, well, yeah, my spouse of 4 years is disabled, so we don't know when the disability occurred. Like, is the disability 4 years old, or when did this all happen? Mm-hmm. If we're just 6 months into this sudden disability situation, I think it is time you're going to have to figure out, is this what you're going to do forever?
Right.
Like, it's not going to, if it's not going to get better, then you kind of have to have the harsh realization of it's never going to get better.
Right.
So, and maybe, I doubt, but maybe that's where the parent is having the issue, is that like you're kind of stuck in this limbo of your own choosing, because you're not choosing to do things that will help you make this any better. And I will fully admit that sometimes that's just not an option either.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're 6 months into dealing with this,
mm-hmm.
You really have to start to question, like, what are you going to do? In terms of like trying to find, relief care, in terms of looking at, is some form of assisted living a better option? Is nursing home care a better option? Like, this is sounding like severely limited ADLs for your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's, and I know lots of spouses are very happy to do it, but it's a lot to give up.
Mm-hmm.
Total mobility, as in functional ability to leave the house for any extended period, and not have any fallback. Like, and the even harsher reality is, what happens if you get in a car accident?
Yeah.
What happens if you walk out in front of a bus? What happens if after 7 months of doing this, your body gives out and you end up in the hospital for 2 months? What's going to happen to your spouse if you have no one?
Yeah.
And these are like, I get it's been shifting sands for at least the past 6 months, if not longer, and everything's just going wrong. But you really need to consider these things, especially now that you're like seeing that this is a fairly major life event. And I don't think it's fair to blame anyone's spouse for their disability. I do not care if you did everything that caused it.
Right.
Like, stop. Like, I do not care if they were drunk and high and jumped off of into a pool and broke their neck.
Right.
And should have known better. Stop blaming people for disabilities. Like that's some bullshit. It's like blaming your parent who's dying of bone cancer for their bone cancer. Like, I don't care if your parents smoked 100 packs a day. I don't care if they sat there and read the giant carcinogen warning on whatever and did it anyway.
Right.
Stop blaming people for their cancer. That's not a choice.
Right.
This is not a choice people make.
Yeah.
Like, I really hope this works out, but I really don't think you're the asshole. But I do think that you do have some things to really like take this to heart this moment. That as wrong as your parent is for what they're doing, it is kind of giant yellow highlighter on you. You need to start figuring some things out, because this isn't going to be the first major event you're going to have to sit out. And is that something you're going to be able to keep doing?
Well, not only that, but what's our long-term plan? What's the long-term, like, what's going to go on here?
Like, what's your break point? What's your point when it's like, okay, I can't do this? Yeah. And what's your backup in case something stupid happens? What if you get arrested?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a hard way to live, that you have to. There is no option. Right. Return within 24 hours, or this is all going to go to hell in a handbasket.
Right.
Like that, living with that and not dealing with it, that's a lot of stress.
Right.
Like that's you've got to start trying to line up a backup, someone else who's going to, at least within a 24-hour period, figure out something went wrong.
Right.
Like you didn't make it home, you had an emergency, you're in a hospital, someone tried to, mug you, and you went to a hospital and you've been knocked in the head.
Right.
Where's the person that's going to figure this out? Is it just going to be the landlord when the place starts to, when like all the neighbors complain?
Right.
Like who's like, you don't just dial 911 and go, my caregiver didn't come home. It's been 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, are they even capable of that? Or like, do they have a phone in reach?
Right.
Like, this is some very flying close to the sun.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna get burned.
Right.
I don't think you're the asshole at all. Please don't take that guilt from anyone, but I do think you've really got to think this through.
Well, I think that you get into so much of a storm that you don't see the outside world. And I mean that literally. When you're in caregiver world, be it partner, family, whatever, the outside world doesn't see what's going on, and you don't see what's going on in the outside world. You've been up for 36 hours because he's vomiting, or you've been up for 48 hours because you're doing chemo today. And people don't see, they're just like, well, why are you so tired? All you do is sit around. And it's like, no, I've been up for 48 hours.
Yeah. Like, this does not run itself, and it is far more complicated than having two active people actively engaged. And especially if, like, dementia care gets a little different, because now you have one person actively engaged in making it worse.
Right.
Not that they realize that, but fundamentally it's how it works.
Right.
It's toddlers with butcher knives at that point.
Right.
Anything you think your toddler can do, imagine a toddler with a butcher knife.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's about how that's going to go. For like the nightmare that you are in.
Yeah.
But no, I like you really, and it's not easy. It's
Right.
this is not a wave a magic wand and make it all better.
Mm-hmm.
But it's you're gonna hit the wall.
Right.
Like every caregiver does. There's no
Mhm.
way around the wall,
Right.
and you have to plan for it.
Right. Yeah, and you have to plan for respite care. You have to plan to bring in additional help. Like, it gets complicated.
Mhm.
All right, so the poll is up. Feel free to vote. Let's hop over to actually Ask a Bros. Ask a Bros over 30. Come on, boys. Give me something better.
Oh, so you don't want to read that one or go for it?
Go for the one I sent you.
Okay, so Ask Gay Bros, I feel so woefully behind in everything when it comes to being gay. I don't know what to do. I'm a 28 gay guy who's semi-out, not home, friends, and family. To be clear, I'm not one of those people who's like, woe is me, in my late 20s, I am ancient now. I feel healthy and I look after myself. I look younger than my age, and I'm in a good place in my career, social life generally. I've moved away from the UK for a great work opportunity, and I'll be moving back next year to settle down in the city I love with amazing friends. I'm so psyched for my 30s. But the issue looming is I love the idea of settling down with a guy, but when it comes to my love and sex life, I think I've totally fucked it. I realized I was gay, or at least queer, when I was 14. I grew up in a sort of rural area and knew just one gay guy who was a bit of a dick, so I buried a lot down. I came out just before I was 20 to people at university. A few months later, I came out to family. The ones I thought would be most supportive weren't. The one parent who eventually was cool with it is now dead. Now it's just the elephant in the room, with the alive parent casually bringing up getting a girlfriend from time to time, which I just shrug off because I'm too much of a coward to put them right. I've just had two relationships that weren't particularly touchy-feely. I've only really been totally intimate with one guy, and I just think I've just left it all too late. I don't think my life is behind me, but I think my love life is. I can't remember the last time I was properly attracted to a guy. I've never cruised. My chest gets tight when I even think about my Hinge account. I'm probably addicted to porn, so I'm terrified I won't be able to perform in the bedroom. Sometimes I wish I said fuck it and just had fun on Grindr back at university, but I remember being so damn shy and scared then too. I just don't see how I can get to a stage of comfortably dating or cruising after never really being intimate, never having a long-term relationship, never getting to an I love you phase, and never living or sharing my life with a significant other. Have I even ever had a significant other? I just feel so full of shame and confusion and apathy and sadness when it comes to all this. And recently I've come to the conclusion that I've just missed out. I would welcome advice, but I'll be honest, I just don't see a way out of this mindset.
You'll get over it. This is the 30s meltdown coming around.
Yeah, pretty much. Some version of it is like it's all over.
Uh-huh.
I mean, there's reasons for that. Like life, there's this weird moment, especially for college students and I don't know, mental health in general. Everything seems kind of to be rolling until you hit your mid-20s, usually right as you graduate college.
Mm-hmm.
And then you kind of go into this like locked in trying to pull a career together, and you don't have time for people.
Mm-hmm.
And then you start to approach 30,
mm-hmm.
and it just all feels so out of control. Like you can't remember the last time you met anyone new.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a coworker or a client, or you know what I mean? Like your social opportunities feel limited.
Mm-hmm.
You and it just kind of becomes this rut
Well,
of like eat, sleep, work, shit, shower, shave, do it again.
Right.
Like just over and over and over.
But also to the younger gays out there, I'll be honest, I did not start having real relationships, even though I was in relationships, till probably my mid 30s into late 30s.
And that seems to be fair for a lot of people. Like they're their first real stable relationships. Like something that isn't just like, oh my God, we met yesterday, now we're dating, and like 2 weeks later it's all like who?
Well, not even that level, because my average at the time used to be about 6 months to 3.5 years. 3.5 years used to be the bombshell moment. And it'd be like, okay, everything's rocking. Nope, gone. Bye.
Yeah, 3 years for a lot of people is kind of a cut and run moment.
Yeah.
That kind of becomes like, is this really
like, do I want to look at you when you're 80? No.
It's not even that. Like that seems so long focused at 3 years, unless you're like 77. I mean, at like 3 years, you start kind of having this moment of like new relationship energy should have petered out by now. Typically, you've gone through at least one crisis with this person. Some horrible moment in which everything seemed like it was going to hell in a handbasket. And you've had to work through that. Typically, most addiction has shown up by then. Like you were clueless before that they had a meth problem, gambling problem, drinking problem, whatever substance abuse issue. Oh, you know by now.
Right.
Typically, that's about as long as most cheaters can get away with not getting caught.
Right.
Give or take. Like this is the point where you've kind of absorbed some majors in that relationship span.
Right.
And like is and without that whole new relationship energy that says it's okay, it's all right. Like run at the red flag. And just keep going.
Those aren't roses, by the way. Just FYI, those are not roses, unfurled. They are just red flags.
Yeah, bouquets of red flags do not make the a bouquet of roses.
Right.
Like it doesn't. That's not how that works.
Hi, Nancy.
That's roughly where the 3 years are. I think. No, it's not too late. I do think that you do have to back out of the mindset. I do think that is where a lot of people get stuck.
Yeah.
And we see it with various groups of people. The like, honey, it's not too late. Because you're going to have people that found their true love at 14 in high school, and they've been together since they were 14. And at 28, after they, bought the house and adopted the kid and got the dog and did all the things that you feel you missed out on, their relationship's blowing up.
Yeah.
Like I'm not wishing it on anyone.
It's stand someone.
Right. Well, but we know people that kind of were there, and then somewhere in their late 20s, mid 30s, boom went the dynamite, and back to square one. And if you want to avoid being, a 30-something, 40-something, 50-something, 60-something, 70-year-old bored like bitchy queen, you kind of have to accept the idea that it's not too late.
Right.
You didn't miss out. Right. You took a detour. And cool, get back in the game. Just, like hop into the game. I will guarantee you somewhere out there is a 28-year-old married father that just walked through the doors of an adult bookstore for their first experience. I'll fucking guarantee it.
Yep. And they'll make lovely husband material later.
Yeah, messy right now. You probably don't want to try to take that one home and make a life with them. They have issues.
Right.
But, like, this is what happens. It's the reality of it. We don't talk a lot about it. Or typically when we do, like, it's usually from the perspective of the spouse that got cheated on. The spouse that, walked into the house to divorce papers when they thought everything was going so well.
Right.
We hear about it from the people that were in harm's way and got harmed by it. We don't hear the typically the real experience, because people feel a lot of shame about it. That they got to 28, 30, 35, 50, 80. And before they went, this doesn't work. I can't do this.
Yeah.
I needed to have done something totally different well before now. Okay, the next part of that is they do something totally different, and then they're so ashamed of their past and the decisions they made, they really don't communicate it, or they kind of gloss over it.
Yeah. And, I'm going to tell a lot of, there's this big statement that at 30, you're dead. No, that was 1985. We need to update that to, I don't know, at 49, you're either wine or you're vinegar. Decide what you want.
Yeah. I will say that's the worst part of, if you keep rolling with this mindset, you typically become vinegar.
Yes.
And I will guarantee you, no one wants to date you. Because, ew.
Right.
Ew, you're
Get off
shitty.
the porn line. Hit up the grinder. Go get some real life experience, especially since you're moving. That's time to get wild. All right.
Fun.
With
You're
that,
28. It's amazing.
Yes.
So survey says
no, 100% no. You are not the asshole. Not even with a dill pickle.
Nice. No vinegar here.
Yeah. All right, guys. We will see you on Tuesday at 8 p.m. And we do want to take a moment to thank our baristas.
Absolutely. So, of course, we want to thank Beverly Walker, Mika G, Brenda, Joan Owen, Shannon C, Shannon D, Lady Gwendolyn, Caitlin Bell, Devin, and Bella. If you'd like to learn more about us, the show, or how you too can become a Patreon sponsor and receive all the wonderful benefits our baristas receive, please visit us at pcspnetwork.com.
Yes, and we will be discussing the deep, carrying on to our main topic of the psychic world. What the hell do you think you're influencing?
Yes.
All right, guys. We'll see you on Tuesday. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
And let's